41, Laura Leslie, and this is the highlight edition. Something new we started last week with show number 40, where we're going to give you a brief overview of the main show. And, you know, if you like what you hear here in the highlight edition, be sure to check out the full show where we go in much more detail. So giving us a brief rundown, Kathleen, you started off with 6 topics on when you know you're ready to become pro. Why don't you give us a quick rundown on that?
We have 6 tips of when you know you're ready to be a professional photographer. The first 2 are really the helpful tips to know when you should start charging for your work, not necessarily having to go full time. You know you're ready to start charging for your photography work if you are technically proficient with your gear, by knowing the exposure triangle and how to make it work for you, and feeling comfortable that you can deliver a product to your clients that will keep them happy. And number 2, you're ready to charge for your work when you are committed to knowing how much it takes to run a business, even doing it for fun. And if it's not your full-time pro business, just knowing that there is a lot of work involved. It's not just all fun. And if you're ready to commit to that, then you're ready to go. You know you're ready to go pro if people are calling to hire you that are not your friends and family. That's a really good way to know. You need to have, of course, in order to be a professional photographer, having your business ducks in a row, knowing your tax codes, getting a business license, having insurance for your business. And Rachel Brinke has a wonderful blog post that we have posted on a blog post on our site that will send you to her site to know how to get the business part of your business running. Number 5, of course, is understanding the cost of doing a business to make sure that you're actually making a profit and that you're not just spinning your wheels for no reason. And then number 6, which is probably the most important to make sure that you're going to go pro, is to acknowledge yourself as a photographer, believe in yourself. You have to know this, because if you don't believe that you are, no one else will. Those are our 6 tips on how to know when you're ready to go pro.
And in the main show, we went in much more detail on those. And you developed that list by asking our previous guests who are pros.
Yes, and we actually have everything that they said, which is going to be put into a blog post on our site, so you can see all of their tips.
Great. So now we have a few things we wanted to highlight about what we went over in much more detail with Laura during the show. And Kathleen, I think you had that list too.
I do. And Laura, you're one of my personal favorite photographers, so we were really excited to have you on the show. You have such a signature look to your work, and one of the things that you use is a tilt-shift lens. Tell us why you chose that lens and how you like to use it.
I follow images online and I just really love the look of it, but here's the actual lens, and I just decided to buy it. But what it does is it blurs out part of you can focus on part of the image and it blurs out the rest, so it just gives this really soft, ethereal look to the image, and it fits with my style, so it's one of my favorite lenses.
It's really beautiful. Yeah. Another one of the things that are signature to your work is your underwater work. Tell us how you achieve that.
I was actually inspired by another friend. I saw that she'd done some underwater work, and I looked up the cost of renting an underwater case. It was outrageous, so I just decided I'm going to buy one because I knew that I loved it and I wanted to try it. But it's pretty much, I have the case for the Mark II, and I got it from Adorama. It was $1,900, and it was just one of their basic cases. You don't need all the bells and whistles. Just tell them what lenses you have. They'll give you the correct port, and it's pretty much just shooting the same, like go out and practice in your bathtub. That's what I did, but same settings, everything. Make sure you try out back button focusing. That's going to help out a lot with focusing underwater, but don't be intimidated. Just go out and do it if you're interested in it, because it's pretty much just shooting the same way as you normally would.
Okay. Well, we just love the look to your images, and you mentioned during the show that part of the look of your images is the fact that you purposefully will overexpose.
Yes. I overexpose in camera, and it's not, a certain, structure that I have. It's just I look at my camera, I take a picture, I look at it, and I'm like, that's too dark. So I'll overexpose more. So I do a lot of it by just looking, and so I'll overexpose in camera. I actually overexpose when I pull my images into Adobe Camera Raw to adjust exposure, contrast. I'll overexpose them a little bit more, and then my action overexposes them a little bit more. So I think it's, all of those things that really add to the airiness of my look. You know, that's achieve the look that I want.
So talk to us about your process. You said you use Adobe Camera Raw and then you run a specific action on your images?
Yeah, well, I actually like my images in Photo Mechanic, and if you don't have Photo Mechanic, make sure you get it. It's going to save you hours of time with just culling your images, even if you use Lightroom or Bridge. But I'll cull my images, so I'll select the favorites, and then I'll pull all my favorites into Adobe Camera Raw, and I'll adjust exposure. And that's pretty much the only thing I adjust is exposure. And then I'm done with that, and I created an action, a custom recipe, you know, so my work would be consistent across the board. And my recipe, it's from Red Leaf Actions. It's 4 different actions that we talked about in the show that I kind of, you know, I adjusted so I like the look of them, and that's what gets put on all of my color images.
Well, it really gives it a unique look. I love the consistency in your work. I feel like I can be online and see an image come across my face and know that it's a Laura Leslie image. And that is certainly something that all photographers that we're looking for. We're looking for our work to be noticeable and recognizable, and you've certainly achieved that. So we are so glad that you have been our guest tonight. And
that was awesome. That was a really good show. So thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Laura.
Yes, thank you. It was a wonderful show.
And thank you, everybody. That will end the highlight edition. Be sure to check out the full edition where we expand on everything in much more detail.
And Laura actually gives away her secret recipe for
that is true.
Actions. Dun dun dun.
We have that recorded in a full version. You got to see the full version to get that.
Yep.
And we still have 21 people out in chat. Thank you guys for hanging out. So, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.